He can edit out the first part anyway.
Welcome to the Marshall News and Views Show. I'm Elaine Conyers, and my guest today is our Marshall City Administrator, Nick Johnson. And Nick, you've been with us in this job for about 6 months now, and the time really flies, doesn't it?
It does. There's a lot to do.
There's a lot to do, and you have certainly accomplished a lot in that 6 months. So how about we just review some of those things that have happened since you came and kind of bring it up to the new year.
I think some of the first things that went on when I initially got here, the Red Baron Arena was finally opening and coming into its own, and we had our grand opening events there, and we've had some things happen since there to the end of the year. We have both sheets of ice now on the in both floors. We have the one that's there permanently, but the expo floor has been turned to ice again, and we have a really nice video of that online of that ice going on. Similar to the construction video, the fast motion construction video that there is one for the ice going on as well, so that was really neat. A lot of great compliments on the facility so far.
Good.
I was at the Wilmer game last night, and the Wilmer coach had said that it was an excellent facility. They can't wait to come back and play.
That's hockey.
Yep, that's hockey, yes.
So we're filled up with hockey tournaments now till the end of the hockey season, right?
Yep, we've got things booked out there, so it'll be great to see. Still working on getting that summer schedule because the ice will come off. So CVB is working very hard on lining up events to go into the expo floor because we want it used year-round. It's just not 2 sheets of ice.
Right.
When it's not ice, we want to be able to utilize that in those summer months for events as well.
Yeah. That's great. It's just the city has worked on this for a long time, and now it's come to fruition. It's great, really great.
Yep.
So then, I think we're also considering a hotel out there. It's for the amount of visitors that come for the hockey tournaments, we just don't have enough hotel space, and even a few years ago, we would have tournaments out at the Lockwood sheet of ice, or whatever we call it. Anyway, and they'd have to send people to Granite Falls and Redwood Falls because there wasn't enough hotel space. So we really feel that we need to have that now for all the tournaments and lots of people coming in here. So where does that stand, the planning for that?
Me coming in 6 months from now, I did see there were some initial plans, some layouts for that whole area. There was some restaurants and a little bit of retail development and that sort of thing out there. And there was always plans for a hotel, and this was 2-3 years ago when this whole planning was taking place. So I saw that configuration. So we always kind of figured a hotel would always go in there. What happened is a company called Gatehouse approached the city with a model of doing a hotel and convention centers for towns like Marshall, where they say it's a medium-sized market.
Yeah.
Gatehouse has primarily worked in Texas, a lot of their work there. Their recent ventures, their more notable ventures, other than Marshall, of course, they're working with Richard Branson on his Virgin Hotel chain. So if a gentleman like Sir Richard Branson is working with Gatehouse, and we did our own background checking on our own, they're a good company to work with. So they approached the city with a private public partnership model, which they would do they're looking at about 104 rooms, Courtyard by Marriott, so it's very upscale type of development. They would build around that arena area. They would have and then they would be looking at having a convention center in that 16,000 square foot type of arrangement. But that's yet to be determined. They were talking about having indoor pool, maybe a water parkish type of small one. And their bar, restaurant type of setup all in that area. And we initially had done the hotel market study because we wanted to make sure that this was feasible. We didn't want to. How it normally goes is you jump into the whole thing, you do the market study, and you do the phase 2 development. Pre-development work, I should say, all in one go. Well, we wanted to make sure we broke that up to make sure we were taking the right approach. So we said, let's just do the market study first, make sure that comes back really well, and it did. It came back very good. And they studied the community as a whole, not just specifically this. So that came back very positive. So City Council came back and said, yep, let's move forward with phase two. We had our financial advisors doing some background work on that, and they presented at the council meeting where they made the decision. And so now we're going to be entering phase two, which is the pre-development phase, which is where they're going to go through having the architects, engineers, finding the land, getting all of that situated. So when they come back to council in roughly 4 months, they will have a big binder of information. It's like, this is everything, this is what's going to look like, here are all the amenities, everything will be in there. Including financially how it'll, the fine numbers for how it'll be set up. Conceptually, for financing, that public-private partnership is a more unique model that hasn't been done before. We're used to in the city doing tax increment financing, tax abatements, some of those more mainstream types. What they have proposed, their model is that you have the hotel and you have the convention center. The hotel would be 60% they take out a private loan. Then 30% would be a gap financing loan that the city would take out. And then there would be 10% equity, so that's 100% for the hotel. Now that 30%, why they want the city to take it out is we get better interest rates than they would get going out on the open market for that gap financing piece, which saves them money on the interest. So they want to use that bonding authority, and then they would pay the principal and interest on that 30%. The city would have security on the hotel itself to back that. But that's how the payment would happen. So the city wouldn't be paying that. The convention center, I'm sorry, would be 100% city bond issue. But what would happen there is that they would pay the principal and the city would be responsible for the interest. And at the end of 20 years, they would turn over ownership of the convention center to the city. And that's one thing I've also heard coming to Marshall is that there was always wanted to be a convention center. In the town. So we saw it as this model where we, help them out with the financing, but our responsibility really is on that interest piece on just the convention center. And then after 20 years, we get a convention center out of it. It seems a lot better than us building a convention center, paying for the principal and the interest. So we're just paying interest and still getting a convention center out of it. And they've said since it's a Courtyard by Marriott, what they do is, in their budget, they budget money so that every 5 years they do a refreshing of the building itself. So every 5 years they update things so it stays current, it stays fresh. So that'll retain the building value in there. So that's how the financing is looking to be set up. Now we'll get to what this phase two will determine is what type of bonds can we do for it? Is it tax abatement, lease revenue, some other sort of bonds that we can do as part of that? So that's the part that'll get figured out, but the general structure is something like that.
Well, that's just great. It sounds like a great plan, and certainly moving ahead on that. And that's a really good thing, because with all these people coming into town, we're definitely going to have a hotel space. And as you said, Marshall is a regional center, and we could have a lot of large conventions going on here. And we've been approached before. We didn't have a place big enough ever, and now this would fill that need.
And Gatehouse, who does a lot of these large developments, hotel developments like this, they saw the arena, the expo, have that convention center with it to add the extra space to do even more things, bigger things than you would be able to do with just the expo alone. Then you have the hotels. You have that whole thing there, and they're saying, you have something, if you can pull this off, you'll have something special that you can't get for a very large radius. You'd have to go to the cities to find something like this, and would have it here to draw in. And the benefit of all that is it'd be 104 rooms, but if you're hosting, several hundred people at some of these events, the Courtyard by Marriott will get some of that, but then you'll also have the spillover that'll benefit a lot of the other businesses in town. Some of the hotels, they'll stay over a night, go get food, gas, spend some money, do a little of that stuff. So that's the hope, is that's the driver of all this. Bringing in not just people from Marshall or even in the immediate area, but we're pulling in some of those bigger events that would normally be in the cities, Duluth, in the bigger areas,
Yes.
South Dakota,
Yep.
much larger area, bring those people to town so they can spend money here.
Right. Yep. Good idea, and we certainly will see the profits come from that. That's good. God, you've been working a lot that 6 months to bring all this in, and I know there's other things too that you've been working on in the last 6 months. We have basically run out of property for industrial parks, right? That has gone fast. It isn't very long ago that we just opened. It was the Sonstegard, and now it's full.
Yep, Sonstegard is full, and it was open not that long ago.
Yeah.
And it filled up very quick, which was excellent. So now we're looking at the next industrial park
Right.
development, and that is to the west of that. Just if you go on County 33 west of the Merit Center, there's a lot of farmland there that the city has purchased, and we're looking at transforming that. I know it's been presented in the past,
Yes.
but now it's coming into more fruition. We got storm sewer plans that'll be ready to go. And then we also have infrastructure development plans. You have Michigan Road there.
Yep.
That would be extended westward, straight west, and meet up with the intersection that's there. We have a TED grant that will have money that goes towards making that intersection on Highway 68 and Michigan Road look very similar, well, identical to what Lake Road was done.
Oh, okay.
So it squares it up when it enters
Yeah.
there, so it tees up, and then it'll enter into the industrial park.
Yeah.
Right now we're looking at, and we'll have a deed grant. We're going to be securing a deed grant that'll help with doing the underground work, the water lines, the sewer lines,
Yeah.
the utilities. And then we would also be looking at a deed grant after we complete that to help with the surfacing, so doing the street and get that completed.
Yeah.
So we're aiming for a lot of grant work to help make this possible.
Right.
That makes the special assessments lower on the whole thing,
Oh,
makes it
right.
attractive. You have shovel-ready sites so that if we get a business that, or an industry that says, hey, I need 70,000 square feet of space to do this, we got a spot right out for you, and you
Yeah.
can start tomorrow
Yeah. Yeah, that's great.
with that development.
Yeah. So I know you've only been here for 6 months. I've been here for many years, and I'm not going to tell you how many. But we have seen so much development through the years. But the last 6 to 8 months, we have really, really developed in all ways, industrially and economically, and all of this forward-looking planning is paying off. And that's so good to see in a community our size. And we continue then to be a center for the region, and that's really good.
And that's the whole goal, is that we are driving economic development
Yes.
so we can grow our tax base, expand it so that we can have lower tax rates in the town.
That's right.
But sometimes to get growth, you got to spend a little money to do it.
That's right.
But the whole goal is to expand that tax base, bring more jobs,
Yes.
higher quality of living, just to make Marshall a better place,
Yeah.
and hold those taxes down as best we
Yeah.
can.
And I hear a lot of people tell me, oh, all of this development is going to cost me more in taxes. And really, it isn't that much that it's raising taxes. The food and lodging, I tell people, well, if you're going to leave your home and go and stay in the motel overnight, yeah, you're going to pay that tax. But how likely is that, that they're going to do that? And I said, well, but if you order a pizza bring to your house, you pay a couple cents more or something. So, but a lot of times people don't see it for its worth, but it's there, and it's really begun. So it's good to have.
And that's one thing I did look at, is the kind of the history of the tax rate in Marshall, in the city of Marshall, over the last 10 years. And it's stayed fairly stable.
Yeah.
I think the lowest point it got to was in that 48% mill rate. And then in 2017, it's up to 54%. In the small towns, it was very common to have the tax rate continue to climb and climb each year. But Marshall, seeing as it has a lot of economic development that's been happening over those years,
Right.
We've been able as a city to live off of that growth,
Right.
and not sharply increase
Yes.
any of those taxes when we rely on that tax base expansion
Yeah.
to fund the future developments.
That's right. Yeah, and I know that you've talked about this too. That in these last few years of development, we have been recognized by the state and the League of Minnesota Cities that we have kept the expenses and the revenue very close. And we've been complimented on that. That's to be proud of too. You know, that maybe some of that people should educate themselves a little bit more on that, because that's a very positive thing.
When I came in and I saw that the tax rate had stayed so stable, and that the city of Marshall really just, when they did levy increases, they did it in proportion to that tax base. That was very refreshing for me to see that.
Yes.
To have that economic development to help drive that was an excellent, excellent thing, and that's one thing I want to make sure we continue.
Sure.
It all just helps make the community a better place.
Yep, yep. So, well, a lot of things been going on, and now we're into 2017, and you probably got some vision planned for this year.
The hotel will be Hotel Convention Center, definitely a big
Yeah.
outward project of that. I'm going to be focusing a lot of my efforts on some more internal stuff. We want to set up that capital improvement plan for the
yeah.
city and the infrastructure, get that into it. I definitely want to look at the city's debt. It had been reported for the elections that it was fairly high, but a lot of projects constitute a lot of that. So I'll be working on breaking that out. We see some areas where we can pay down some of our debt to help with that levy remaining stable, so I'll be looking into that. I want to build a master financial plan for the city so we can look out 5, 10, 15
Sure.
years.
Yeah.
We'll have to update it every year, of course, but get that roadmap in place.
Yes.
Right now we have capital planning out for 5 years. I would like to extend that much further.
Sure.
And the city, I've looked at it, all the puzzle pieces are there. We just got to bring it all together into
Yeah.
that master plan. So that will be a lot of good hard effort. Not something the public will generally see, but it'll be one of those documents that the city produces that will be able to show to the public. This
Yeah.
is our plan for the next
Sure.
5, 10 years.
Yeah.
What we think city tax rates are going to be like moving forward, what projects we kind of
Yeah.
envisioning and happening, when they'll about happen, how will they affect the debt,
Yeah.
what debt will be coming off to keep that nice and stable, because
Yeah.
we don't want
Right.
volatility. We want things nice, predictable. And then, like I said, that educational component that the public can then see
That's
that
right, yeah.
and see these are the plans we have going forward into the future, which I think will be a really good thing.
Yeah, that's right. Well, there's been other things that have happened that continue to grow, and I'm thinking about our municipal liquor store, that building that was on East College Drive, that it was too small. We had too many customers, and I always thought it was kind of a dangerous place as you drove by there, because cars trying to go in, cars coming out. Wasn't a big parking lot or anything, and so they went ahead and purchased land out there. Oh, what section would we call that? That area? Well, it's out by Menards and
Yep.
and
Out in that area, the old
that
Runnings
area.
building.
Yeah.
Yep,
Yeah.
out in that area. Yep. Well, even before I was employed here in Marshall, I was up in Canby
Yeah.
for 6 years, and we would, once in a while, my wife and I would run down to the new liquor store here in Marshall, check it out, buy something, and even the old one.
Yeah.
When we were in town, she wanted
Sure.
to get a couple of things that were specifically in that store.
Yeah.
And that was what you mentioned, the parking at the old municipal
Yeah.
liquor store, and that was one thing that we had noted as well. Is
Sure.
it was treacherous to get in
Yep.
and out.
Yep.
Very compact. You got to make sure you really had your wits about
Right.
you. So the new liquor store was built. It's been open just a little over a year now. It was back in November of 2015 is when it was opened. So
I was thinking it was later than that, but
so November of 2016, we had its
Yeah.
first year, and glad to report that gross sales are up 16% over the previous year,
wow.
and we expect that trend to continue.
Yeah.
So it's been very good. We'll hopefully be paying the debt service off sooner because of those increased sales. We can pay off the debt service on it sooner. We get that paid off sooner. Transfers more money to the general fund, which can do as most liquor stores do, help supplement that and help keep the property taxes down. But yeah, it was a smaller building. It's a very nice building
Yes.
now.
Yeah.
So that'll serve its purpose for many, many years to
Yes.
come.
Yeah.
Many, many years. So
Yeah. And it's a good revenue base for the city too. And I think it's good that the city owns it also because it's then we have control over it, so we know that things are being done correctly and so on too. And we get good revenue from it, much more than from taxes that we would be charging a private owner or something like that.
yep.
So it's a good thing. We know there's a lot of cities out there that do own their liquor store.
Yep.
So and I think another thing too with these developments that have taken place, I really appreciate the fact that planning has gone into not only the development but how it appears. Now, like with the tall grass liquor store, okay, people say, tall grass, why are we talking about tall grass? Well, this whole area was covered with tall grass. A lot of people don't realize that. And so they put that in the name and they put some tall grass out there, and it beautifies it, it educates people on their history and everything too. So I like that idea. And then out at the sports arena too, they've got some nice looking atmosphere out in front and around it. It makes it much more attractive.
Yep. And the Avera Plaza that will
Yes.
be going out there, the community voted on that Spirit of the Community sculpture. They had the 3 choices, and then they chose the Prairie Roots one.
Yeah.
So we got kind of a theme going now. We
There.
have tall grass liquor, and then we have the Prairie Roots structure that'll be going out there. And that should be completed next year as well, and that will be absolutely beautiful out
Yes.
there. We've met with the artist, saw some renditions of it. It'll be very good.
Yeah.
So that'll be going through, and we'll probably see that around the Sounds of Summer.
Oh,
We
sure.
would like to have it planned for around there
Yeah.
as part of that whole festival, then doing the sculpture then. So that'll definitely
Yeah.
bring that whole piece together, and it
Yeah.
will be very, very nice.
Yes.
The ball fields we'll have ready to go next year as well. The
Oh,
4
sure.
new ball fields out there. We talk a lot about the arena, the ice, but we do have the 4 new
Oh, yes.
state-of-the-art
Yep.
playing fields out there.
That's right. Yeah.
We'll be bringing tournaments to town for that. And then you have the high school facilities.
Yes.
And I always like to just take it a little bit back, get that better view. You have the arena and expo, which is great. You have the ball fields
Yes.
that add to it. You have the high school right there, which is
Right.
huge.
Yes.
And then you just go across 23, and then you have the campus facilities with the underpass
Yes.
for easy access.
Right.
So I like to just pull back a little bit and see that whole as the area, and that's huge when you really pull back and see everything
right.
you've got in that area.
Yeah.
It's a huge draw.
It is.
An absolutely huge draw.
Yeah. Yeah, it was just plain flat prairie for many, many years. And now it's much more attractive. And
So it will be exciting to see over this next year how that all continues
Yes.
to develop and get that filled and get it used, because that's why we built it, is to bring people to town to drive economic
right.
development and help the tax base. And all these projects we do in the future, like I said, they're aimed at helping grow that tax
That's
base,
right.
helping the taxpayers. Like I said, you got to spend a little money, but you hope that
Good.
comes back in the form of people spending money here
Yes.
from outside of town, outside the area, to help boost all the things happening.
Exactly. Well, it's an interesting job, and you're excited about it. I can see that, and it's just wonderful to have you here to help our area grow. Is there anything else that you'd like to add to this plans ahead, or
It'll be
again
ano-
that we've accomplished?
It'll
So,
be another good year.
Yeah.
Looking forward to working with the new city council
Yes.
and getting many things accomplished.
Yeah.
I like to do as best I can by the taxpayers, helping the growth happen. Again, very thankful and honored that I was chosen for this position to do the citizens' work.
yeah.
So again, thank you to the city council for hiring me, and thank you to the citizens for allowing me this opportunity to
Yes.
serve them.
Oh, that's wonderful. And I guess we certainly will have you back often. You better keep that on your agenda because we want to hear everything that's continuing to happen. And your work, along with that of economic development people, has really done a great job for Marshall. I really like that working together that has happened. We've got some things coming up for the city, like, well, that school referendum didn't pass, but that will be coming up in the future. It's something we really need to look seriously at it. And again, we have a collaboration between the city, the school, the EDA, and all these other things. It's really wonderful to see. So,
Great.
well, we'll look forward to having you again, unless you have anything more you'd like to comment on.
I think that's it. We might come back, do some project updates once things
Yes.
move a little far along, but at the very least, back again in 6 months to give more updates.
Oh, it'll be more.
The 1 year update.
Yeah,
The 1 year
yeah,
update.
there's that, right? Okay. Well, very good. Thank you again for coming, and thank you for all your good work.
Thank you for having
Yeah.
me.